Joshua chapter 2. Joshua chose 2 men as spies and sent them from their camp at Acacia with these instructions: Go across the river and find out as much as you can about the whole region, especially about the town of Jericho. The 2 spies left the Israelite camp at Acacia and went to Jericho, where they decided to spend the night at the house of a prostitute named Rahab. But someone found out about them and told the king of Jericho, "Some Israelite men came here tonight, and they are spies." So the king sent soldiers to Rahab's house to arrest the spies. Meanwhile, Rahab had taken the men up to the flat roof of her house and had hidden them under some piles of flax plants that she had put there to dry. The soldiers came to her door and demanded, "Let us have the men who are staying at your house. They are spies." She answered, "Some men did come to my house, but I didn't know where they had come from. They left about sunset, just before it was time to close the town gate. I don't know where they were going, but if you hurry, maybe you can catch them." The guards at the town gate let the soldiers leave Jericho, but they closed the gate again as soon as the soldiers went through. Then the soldiers headed toward the Jordan River to look for the spies at the place where people crossed the river. Rahab went back up to her roof. The spies were still awake, so she told them, "I know that the Lord has given Israel this land. Everyone shakes with fear because of you. We heard how you dried up the Red Sea so you could leave Egypt. And we heard how you destroyed Sihon and Og, those 2 Amorite kings east of the Jordan River. We know that your God rules heaven and earth, and we've lost our courage and our will to fight. Please promise me in the name that you will be as kind to my family as I have been to you. Do something to show that you won't let your people kill my father and mother and my brothers and sisters and their families." Rahab, the spies answered, "If you keep quiet about what we're doing, we promise to be kind to you when the gives us this land. We pray that the will kill us if we don't keep our promise." Rahab's house was built into the town wall, and one of the windows in her house faced outside the wall. She gave the spies a rope, showed them the window, and said, "Use this rope to let yourselves down to the ground outside the wall. Then hide in the hills. The men who are looking for you won't be able to find you there. They'll give up and come back after a few days, and you can be on your way." The spies said, "You made us promise to let you and your family live. We will keep our promise, but you can't tell anyone why we were here. You must tie this red rope on your window when we attack, and your father and mother, your brothers, and everyone else in your family must be here with you. We'll take the blame if anyone who stays in this house gets hurt. But anyone who leaves your house will be killed, and it won't be our fault." "I'll do exactly what you said," Rahab promised. Then she sent them on their way and tied the red rope to the window. The spies hid in the hills for 3 days while the king's soldiers looked for them along the roads. As soon as the soldiers gave up and returned to Jericho, the 2 spies went down into the Jordan Valley and crossed the river. They reported to Joshua and told him everything that had happened. "We're sure that has given us the whole country," they said. "The people there shake with fear every time they think of us." Joshua chapter 3. Early the next morning, Joshua and the Israelites packed up and left Acacia. They went to the Jordan River and camped there that night. 2 days later their leaders went through the camp, shouting, "When you see some of the priests carrying the sacred chest, you'll know it is time to cross to the other side. You've never been there before, and you won't know the way, unless you follow the chest. But don't get too close. Stay about a kilometer back." Joshua told the people, "Make yourselves acceptable to worship the Lord, because He is going to do some amazing things for us." Then Joshua turned to the priests and said, "Take the chest and cross the Jordan River ahead of us." So the priests picked up the chest by its carrying poles and went on ahead. They told Joshua, "Beginning today I will show the people that you are their leader, and they will know that I am helping you as I helped Moses. Now, tell the priests who are carrying the chest to go a little way into the river and stand there." Joshua spoke to the people, "Come here and listen to what our God said He will do. The Canaanites, the Hittites, the Hivites, the Perizzites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, and the Jebusites control the land on the other side of the river. But the living God will be with you and will force them out of the land when you attack. And now, God is going to prove that He's powerful enough to force them out. Just watch the sacred chest that belongs to the ruler of the whole earth. As soon as the priests carrying the chest step into the Jordan, the water will stop flowing and pile up as if someone had built a dam across the river. Has also said that each of the 12 tribes should choose one man to represent it. The Israelites packed up and left camp. The priests carrying the chest walked in front, until they came to the Jordan River. The water in the river had risen over its banks, as it often does in springtime. But as soon as the feet of the priests touched the water, the river stopped flowing, and the water started piling up at the town of Adam near Zarethan. No water flowed toward the Dead Sea, and the priests stood in the middle of the dry riverbed near Jericho while everyone else crossed over. Joshua chapter 4. After Israel had crossed the Jordan, the Lord said to Joshua, "Tell one man from each of the 12 tribes to pick up a large rock from where the priests are standing. Then tell the men to set up those rocks as a monument at the place where you camp tonight." Joshua chose 12 men, then he called them together and said, "Go to the middle of the riverbed where the sacred chest is, and pick up a large rock. Carry it on your shoulder to our camp. There are 12 of you, so there will be one rock for each tribe. Someday your children will ask, 'Why are these rocks here?' Then you can tell them how the water stopped flowing when the chest was being carried across the river. These rocks will always remind our people of what happened here today." The men followed the instructions that they had given Joshua. They picked up 12 rocks, one for each tribe, and carried them to the camp, where they put them down. Joshua set up a monument next to the place where the priests were standing. This monument was also made of 12 large rocks, and it is still there in the middle of the river. The army got ready for battle and crossed the Jordan with everyone else. They marched quickly past the sacred chest and into the desert near Jericho. 40,000 soldiers from the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and East Manasseh led the way, as Moses had ordered. The priests stayed right where they were until the people had followed the orders that they had given Moses and Joshua. Then they watched as the priests carried the chest the rest of the way across. Joshua said, "Tell the priests to come up from the Jordan and bring the chest with them." So Joshua went over to the priests and told them what they had said. And as soon as the priests carried the chest past the highest place that the floodwaters of the Jordan had reached, the river flooded its banks again. That's how they showed the Israelites that Joshua was their leader. For the rest of Joshua's life, they respected him as they had respected Moses. It was the 10th day of the first month of the year when Israel crossed the Jordan River. They set up camp at Gilgal, which was east of the land controlled by Jericho. The men who had carried the 12 rocks from the Jordan brought them to Joshua, and they made them into a monument. Then Joshua told the people, "Years from now your children will ask you why these rocks are here. Tell them, our God dried up the Jordan River so we could walk across. He did the same thing here for us that He did for our people at the Red Sea, because He wants everyone on earth to know how powerful He is. And He wants us to worship only Him." Joshua chapter 5 verses 1 to 12. The Amorite kings west of the Jordan River and the Canaanite kings along the Mediterranean Sea lost their courage and their will to fight, when they heard how the Lord had dried up the Jordan River to let Israel go across. While Israel was camped at Gilgal, said Joshua, "Make some flint knives and circumcise the rest of the Israelite men and boys." Joshua made the knives, then circumcised those men and boys at Haraloth Hill. This had to be done, because none of Israel's baby boys had been circumcised during the 40 years that Israel had wandered through the desert after leaving Egypt. And why had they wandered for 40 years? It was because right after they left Egypt, the men in the army had disobeyed and had said, "None of you men will ever live to see the land that I promised Israel. It is a land rich with milk and honey, and someday your children will live there, but not before you die here in the desert." Everyone who had been circumcised needed time to heal, and they stayed in camp. They told Joshua, "It was a disgrace for my people to be slaves in Egypt, but now I have taken away that disgrace." So the Israelites named the place Gilgal, and it still has that name. Israel continued to camp at Gilgal in the desert near Jericho, and on the 14th day of the same month, they celebrated Passover. The next day, God stopped sending the Israelites manna to eat each morning, and they started eating food grown in the land of Canaan. They ate roasted grain and thin bread made of the barley they had gathered from nearby fields.